My stream is starting, yeah. My stream is there, but my webcam is not. Or maybe it is, but I just don't see. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. My new stream. Streaming seems to be a nice thing because sometimes people come around and hang out with me. And not just people, but also my beloved cats. Okay. Carlos and Cleo, my cats, are already here. They are purring. And now it is time to actually code some stuff. I guess. Before I start coding stuff, I will have to check if my audio settings are correct. I sometimes have to change them. Okay, let's see. That is transferred and that. Okay, that sounds good. Good. Now someone came around. Hello. Finally. Today is a big day. Oh, okay, and then he left again. Or she, or they. Okay. Maybe I should just start, no matter if anyone is actually around. Ah, fuck. So if anyone is watching this, like after I have streamed it, I have to fix my modulation system. I made some cool changes to my modulation system. Like for example that you don't have to drag the mod dial anymore to things, but you can just immediately drag on this thing and then it will show you what's going on there. Another cool feature that I implemented is that you can drag with the right mouse button and then you can change the bias value, which makes a lot of sense because when the modulation is on 50% and you have a lot of bias, then it will go towards the destination a little bit earlier than the other modulations, or the other way around, so it stays on the base value for longer, and at some point it will flip over rather suddenly when the other thing is already almost at the end. This bias functionality I already had it in all of my other plugins lately, but I had to add it to this project. It wasn't here yet, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. Double right click removes the bias and double left click removes the entire modulation, which is a nice workflow, I think. But my modulation system is not done yet. By the way, you can say something in the chat and then we can have some off-topic discussion again, like last time. That was pretty cool. Because I'm definitely chilling here. And yeah, if there are no off-topic discussions, then I will just keep on programming, I guess. Because there is a problem in my modulation system and I'm a little bit scared of it. So procrastinating from actually doing it would be very encouraged. But I try to explain what it is. Okay, so this is the method set mod depth, and it's being called when the mod depth is being changed by anything. So there are two things that can change the mod depth. One of them is dragging the mod dragger onto a parameter, which puts the mod drag to whatever the parameter value is from there to the end. And the other thing is just dragging here. So these are the things that add or set mod depth for the given macro. So there are 4 macros. So the second argument is the macro index or the modulator index, and the first argument is the depth. If the parameter is locked, then nothing happens. So I can lock a parameter and then this doesn't work. And if it's the same ID, if the ID is the same as the index casted to ID, then it also doesn't work. That looks a little bit cryptic, but it basically just means that you cannot put a modulator on the parameter that's already, you know, attached to that modulator, because that would make no sense. Like what would that be, right? Hey, what's up? So this is already solved, this problem. I should just rename it a little bit because it doesn't look very reasonable here. Like same macro. I could call this same macro. And this whole line of code only works very well because the macros are the first 4 parameters of the parameter list. So it wouldn't work with any modulation systems that had more complex modulators that have more than 1 parameter. And also not with modulation systems where the modulation parameters are just somewhere else. So this is a very specific case. You cannot copy that into your own code base unless you also have just a bunch of macros at the start. Okay, these are the first 2 cases. Either it's locked or we are already on the same macro, and that would mean nothing happens, and else the mod depth is being stored successfully. But now there is another case that is really annoying and I really hate it. I had it already solved, but I had to rewrite my modulation system. So the thing is, imagine this. You want to modulate the second macro. Let's say the second macro is on, I don't know, 50% or so. And then you modulate it to 75 with macro 1. Easy peasy, right? So now you select macro, the second macro 1, and then you try to modulate macro 0. And for some reason that works. But that kind of exceeds just my imagination. Like, how can you modulate something back that is already modulating this? Like, when I'm seeing this, I'm just thinking, what, why, or what, how is this even possible? Like, what is this? I don't want this to be a thing. This should not work. Because I cannot imagine why it even works in the first place. So, or unless someone can explain to me why that should work, because I really have no idea. And I've tested it in different other plugins of other developers. For example, in FabFilter Saturn. Maybe I can demonstrate that. It even triggers an error message when you try to do something like that. And yeah, that's how they handle it. Let's just try to trigger this situation here. Let's see, how did that work? Okay, an XY controller is basically 2 macros. So another XY controller. Now the first one should modulate. How did that work, right? Ah, shit, I forgot how this modulation system works. Oh yeah, you have to drag it. Okay, so this modulates. Hey, I cannot drag it onto the other modulator. But I'm pretty sure it was Saturn in which I had this thing happening. Now I'm confused. Or was it like this? Yeah, it was like this. And now, no wait, this works. Now I'm a bit confused. How did I trigger it in Saturn? I think I have to try it again. Or I just use a different modulator for that, because that one looks a little bit weird. The envelope generator. Okay, let's just use 2 envelope generators, I guess, because I can imagine that better. Now the first one, why can I not attach it to the threshold or something like that? Okay, I can attach it to this parameter. Well, whatever. And now this one. Ah, okay, that was what I meant. So now there is an exclamation mark telling me that what I just tried to do just makes absolutely no sense. That's weird. I kind of I thought it was an error message that pops up. Like in my mind, I had a little alert popping up, but I must have remembered that incorrectly, or I don't know, was thinking of a different plugin. So this definitely is nothing that should work. That's for sure. Why does it work here? I don't know, but it shouldn't. Now I have to figure out how I can implement this not being a thing. And that's always very hard. Like how would I even describe that? I am in this parameter. This is currently the parameter class, my parameter base class, and the parameter knows its ID. ID is this, describes which parameter it is. It could be mod system macro 0 or mod system macro 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. These are the ones that matter, the other ones don't, because the other mod system does not influence each other, but just the overall vibrato. Okay, so I have this ID here, and now I would have to find out if this modulator, oh fuck, I think I have to actually paint that in order to get an understanding for that. It's always twisting my head so hard when I have to think about it. Okay, there's the concept of a modulator and the concept of a modulator having a parameter. And then there is the concept that there can be another modulator. And the concept that other modulators also can have parameters. Let's take it easy. Now, then there is the concept that parameter can have, this should be the mod dragger thingy, a connection to some parameter. So whenever I try to modulate something with this modulator, it's not that the macro itself directly modulates the other parameter, but the modulator that holds the macro modulates the parameter. It makes a difference because every modulator that is more complex than a macro does not just put its value directly out. So this modulator now modulates this parameter, or it wants to modulate this parameter, and that has to endure all these checks. Where was it? These here. And at the moment it works, because this is not the same modulator as this one, so this thing is false. And let's just disregard things being locked entirely now, because it doesn't matter now. And now the second state, or the second thing, that the one that shouldn't work, is this modulator tries to modulate this parameter. But how can this action now find out that it's problematic? In order to do that, since we are now here in the class of this parameter should somehow know that it belongs to a modulator that already has a parameter I mean, no, wait, no, it belongs to a modulator that already modulates a parameter that is part of the modulator that now tries to modulate this. Do we even have the information from which modulator we are coming from? That would be index, right? So we have oh damn, what's going on here? So we have index 0. This is index 0. This is index 1. Ah, shit. Someone save me, please. Modulation systems have the worst edge cases, but I think this is already the worst one that you can run into from all of the ones. And I always wanted to make a video about it, but that would mean that I have to actually find the right words for that. That I can just put in like sentences that people would like to hear. That takes less than 10 minutes or so. As a stream, it is much more painful. Okay, now we are here. This is the parameter, and does the parameter know that it belongs to a modulator at all? Because it could be that a parameter just does not belong to any modulator as well. That could also be the case. It is true that this parameter base class knows that because I have an attached mod integer here, and if it's -1, then it does not belong to a modulator. So let's just debug this in order to get a feeling for this. Yeah, because feeling a value is much better than thinking about it. Okay, let's go. Oh, I didn't see the chat. Hello everyone, I'm currently increasing the reasonability of my modulation system because it can do something that no modulation system should be able to do. Yeah, at the moment I'm just building the project. I don't know, it takes long again. Come on, let's go, let's go. So now I'm debugging the value for attached mod. So when I'm just using attached mod on any parameter here, it's -1. But when I'm doing it on the macro, then it's 1 or 2 or whatever. Okay, let's just do it now. We are on index 0 and we are modulating attached mod 1. And now we are on index 1 and we try to modulate attached mod 0. Okay, that works. So we have this information here definitely, but still we kind of don't know if this is legal, because sometimes it is legal to modulate a different modulator or a parameter of a different modulator, and sometimes it isn't, and I have to figure out how to get this information here. Maybe it is even not possible. I'm already considering that just this whole method shouldn't even be here, but maybe it should actually be in the class that holds all of the parameters, because this class, like, it could have the information about what's going on with the entire modulation system. Let's see if that would work. What would it be like if this class had this method? something must be different, right? Set mod depth. Obviously that doesn't work out of the box, because we also have to say now which parameter should be modulated. So we have to get that parameter first. Oh. Dereferencing. Okay, now we have a reference to the parameter. Now this is easy. Okay. And the next thing is easy as well. So these two things already work. And this also. And this works anyway. Okay. But from here, we have more power to actually fulfill the problem. I could try prompting my way to let GitHub Copilot solve it, to be honest, but I kind of want to make it myself. Now visualizing the thing again. So let's say we are going in here. We have currently selected the second modulator, so index will be 1. And the PID we are going in here will be casted to 0. And then we will find out that, oh, actually I don't even have to use parameter ID, because I already have the PID here. Okay, wait, before we go on, I wanna just do this, because I think it's a little bit more readable to use the input arguments directly. Okay, readability is very important here, because I'm already losing my mind just looking at this. Hello, more people who just joined the video. I'm trying to fix my modulation system. There is a terrible problem in which a modulator that is already modulating, that is already being modulated, can modulate back, so to say. That's kind of annoying. So I have to try to figure out how to describe this case. Okay. Again, we are here. We have where index is on 1 or something, and now we are trying to modulate 0. And now we want to find out if 0 is already modulating 1 for some reason. Okay, so wait, what if we just say the param, it has a mod depth array. Hey, wait, does that mean that we can actually do that from the parameter itself? That would be pretty cool. Well, I can just copy this code back at the end, I guess. Anyway, the mod depth array is an array of 4, now macros is 4 atomic floats, and yeah, it describes the 4 different mod depths that can influence the parameter. So if wait. PID is the destination of this modulation in some way. So we'd have to cast we don't have to no. Wait, PID is in this case this MD, is the depth that we are introducing. Index, however, describes that we come from here. So now we'd have to find out if our destination parameter already has influence on this one. So we'd have to get this parameter first. So like basically the source parameter. Okay. We are getting closer. Nice. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I could rename this one to param_dest then, to make it a little bit more clear how they are differing from each other. Now, again, getting back into the thought process. Don't forget to like the video. Yeah, sure. Always like videos and subscribe and everything, whatever. Okay, back into the thinking. Now we are here. We are on the source parameter now, and we want to find out if our destination already has influence on the source parameter. Which would mean that the parameter source mod depth with the PID index is not 0, right? Param source mod depth of how should I even call that? Depth from dest. I don't know, maybe. Okay, if depth from dest is not 0, then I want to have a breakpoint here and return. So let's find out if we can actually trigger this state right like this. No, we can't. Why? Oh wait, the breakpoint will not currently be hit. So this is basically unavailable entirely right now. Maybe I would have to add another space here. Oh wait, I should have. No. Okay, wait, where does this come from again? Oh, I'm stupid. I'm still using this method. Obviously now I have to use the other one. Okay, now I already know that I cannot use this one anymore. So it would make sense to just remove it entirely. And that will force me to add my other method everywhere. And it will show me in which cases I have to change my code now. I think I have to change it here in the mod dial. Yes. Okay, so now instead of setting the mod depth on the parameter, I have to get the whole parameter array in here. How do I get this? I think like this. Okay. Good. Okay, it's going to be a little bit annoying to put that everywhere. I hope it's won't take too long. Okay, good. So at least once you've done it one time, it is kind of straightforward. I still don't know if I also have to change the set mod bias method to be more global, but I guess that is something that we find out later. Huh? Wow. Okay, I think the enter value comp also has something with setting modulation values somewhere, because I added a feature lately where you can also enter values for modulation. Yes. Okay. So this is going to be params, and it will be param ID, and params has to exist now. Oh, must be non-const. Okay. Okay, the next thing that needs to be tweaked is, I guess, I don't know, let's just try to run it now. Okay, now we will find out where something still has to be tweaked, which is, yeah, the mod dragger, of course. Oh, the PID is already there. Nice. Okay, I don't know, I can probably throw some of these things away now, but I will clean up later. That looks good. Now we will definitely use the other method, and that means I cannot modulate from here. But can I still modulate? Wait, what? Wait. That was a little bit too quickly. Let's first check the same macro thing. So same macro doesn't work. That's good. Let's remove all modulation. Make it a little bit easier on us. And now modulate this, select this, and now we have the state that we can check. Aha. Now that triggered the state just as I wanted, and that means we cannot modulate. That's good. Let's try this. Boom, that also triggers this state. Now let's try something that is legal again. Like this. Okay, that works. Cool. Now let's select this one again and then also drag this one. Yeah, that was also supposed to work. Good. Okay, I think I have the edge cases now. This was really the thing that needed to be done. It was very scary. I hate this kind of logic, but it turned out to work. Now I just have to find out a way to, I don't know, make this a little more readable. Like, what is this even? Parameter source, and there is a depth from the destination instead of to the destination. Now let's give this a name. Modulating. Okay, I could call it modulating impossible, but I don't know. That sounds very generic. There must be a way to give this a better name. Does anyone have a cool idea how we can call this very peculiar state? Maybe. I'm just going to look at it again. Why is this? Whatever. Just some intelligence thing. Okay. Now, how do we call this? There is the source parameter, this one, and it has depth from the destination, and that's the reason why the source cannot make this its destination. There cannot be two destinations going in opposite directions to each other. Oh, there must be a cool mathy term for that. Does anyone know how I can like call that variable? I don't want to call it modulation or modulating impossible. That doesn't sound very nice. What's the term for two things going like towards each other? Maybe it would low-key be called crashing modulation but no, that would also sound a little bit generic. But I was just thinking about crashing in the sense of like when two cars drive into each other, and that's why it doesn't work for both of them to go that way. Intersection. What? Excuse? What? Why excuse? I don't get it. Oh, I don't know if I find a good name for that now, but at least it is accepting. Why? What is accepting? I've never used the word accept in as a substantive or whatever that word is. I will have to Google the other meanings of that. Accepting. Okay. So there's an exception. But I mean, it's also generic because everything that returns from a method is an exception. Like, oh, I wanna set the mod depth, but not if it's locked, because that would be an exception. Or if it's the same macro, that would also be an exception. That's why I don't like the name that I already have, because it is so generic. I want to find something that describes better this specific exception. Exclusion. Exclusion. Ausschließen. But it's also generic. I mean, I exclude this from happening, but also the other things. So I don't know. Giving variable names can be so hard. Someone once claimed that ChatGPT is actually good at that. I have never tested that. Converge. What's converge again? Zusammenlaufen. Oh yeah. So converge would be like two things get together, and that's why it doesn't work. Oh, I'm not sure if that works perfectly. It gets closer to the thing that I want to have, but I don't know. Okay, modulation converging. Maybe I will have to rewrite this part at some point, but it's better than nothing. So this is definitely fixed now. Now just some little details here, like these things are definitely not changing at any point. So I can do this. And I don't like that there are two casts of the same thing. I only want to have that once. And then it will be very beautiful, this whole thing. Except that IntelliSense keeps thinking that this is wrong for some reason, even though it builds. That's kind of annoying. But apart from that, yeah, I think that those are all the edge cases that can happen in a modulation system. At least in a very basic modulation system like mine. And this one would look even more complicated if my parameters would consist of more than just if my modulators would consist of more than just 4 macro parameters, because of they are just 4 macros, I can basically just be like, yeah, the parameter is the modulator, and if the mod depth is certain value, then that means that the whole modulator is attached. So it would look a little bit more complicated if it had some other modulators, but I can be glad that I can ignore that now. It was one of my big rewrites on this plugin, was to get rid of the complicated modulation system that I wrote first and make a simple one. And I think this is now the simplest that it can be, with only a few macros. In my plugin template, I only have one macro, because you have probably noticed in all of the recent plugins that I made, there is just one macro, and that's also very cool, because then you can completely ignore a case like that, and also this case. So basically, these two cases can be ignored, because you don't have to check if a modulator. I don't want to describe what this does again. Let's just ignore that. But it's like just not a thing when there is just one modulator. And the other thing can be solved by simply not giving the macro a modulation dial. And then suddenly you don't have to handle these edge cases anymore, which is nice. But this is how it would look like if you actually have more than one macro and want it to work correctly. And I think that's enough for this stream, because I always hate when I have to write this stuff, and it always makes me very crazy. So now I will just go to sleep, I guess. See you next time or something. And yeah, give me lots of money and subscribe, blah 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 blah.